Do England have a midfield problem? The long answer on paper seems to be yes, but in reality, the answer is right there in front of them. Thomas Tuchel's reign with England has been strong. It's been solid. Obviously, people go back to maybe that friendly defeat against Senegal in his first game where they really struggled and lost 3-1. First ever defeat to an African side. But again, this was happened at the end of a long league season for all the players. The back five that day, the back four and the goalkeeper were not first choice. I doubt they'll be playing come the World Cup next year. And then when we get to the competitive games, World Cup qualifiers, they've won all their games. They've now qualified, scored 11 goals, conceded 0. 2 of those games as well where England were pretty underwhelming. Again, they came at the end of a very long league season. Anyone who's expecting fireworks or great performances or really high quality in those games is just a fool. They did what they had to do. They got the win. They've now qualified for the World Cup with their victory over Serbia last night. The 5-0 win, which is really kind of the kickstart of the entire Thomas Tuchel reign. Fans are daring to dream, as they always do. This is England. It's always coming home. But the talent in this squad, I truly believe that they've got a legitimate chance at winning next year. And the reason that is because of Thomas Tuchel. I believe he has the nous and the intelligence as a coach, his ability to adapt, his ability to stick to his guns in the right moment. I think that's going to help England to thrive. This guy knows what he's doing. This is the type of manager they need. Intense knockout situations where they have fallen short over the last few years. I know they've got to multiple finals, even a semi-final, but the second they come up against a quality team or a high-quality coach, they bow out. The luck of the draw has been huge for England over the last few tournaments, and every time they go up against a high-quality opponent and or a high-quality coach, they fail. Because Gareth Southgate was just not up to the task. He did some right things. He was a great guy to have around the dressing room. He was a great guy for bringing people together, to bringing a good feeling around the England camp again. Yes, he is the most successful England manager we've seen since Sir Ralph Ramsey. But at the same time, luck of the draw and just lack of quality in some of the other big name teams during his reign really helped inflate his time as England manager, in my humble opinion. But then we get on to the question, the topic of this video, the midfield. After the Andorra game the other day, Thomas Tuchel made a point of saying they don't have that natural sitting midfielder, the natural number 6, the natural defensive midfielder. But in reality, that's just incorrect. Declan Rice is absolutely a natural number 6. It's a role he's played for England and thrived in. It's a role he's played in for West Ham and thrived in. But since he's moved to Arsenal, he's been more of a box-to-box type player. And that's just, it's not that he can't do the number 6, the deep lying role. It's just that he is capable of more. So more is demanded of him. If Tuchel wanted him to play as that defensive midfielder, he could just demand that of Rice. You be the guy who sits in front of the back line, controls the flow of the game, protects the defence, takes the ball off the defenders and gets play started for our team. But he clearly seems to want more from Rice in the same way that Arsenal do, and use him as that kind of box-to-box midfielder, the more of the traditional number 8. And then the question rises, who's going to be the partner for Declan Rice in that midfield? Because we know he's going to be starting. It's looking likely that Tuchel is going to favour a 4-2-3-1 type system, which can always revert to a 4-3-3 quite easily. And I think a lot of people, when you're talking the best England XI, they will say that the midfield should be Rice, Bellingham and Cole Palmer in a more advanced position. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's getting the best out of everyone in that midfield. Bellingham, no doubt, capable of being a box-to-box midfielder. Probably looked pretty good there. But I think he thrives more as the attacking player, the more advanced midfielder. So I think he should take the place of Palmer in that midfield 3. Rice, obviously there as your more box-to-box type, or either if they wanted to demand more of a defensive role from him, they could switch him to that. It's that position next to Rice that they need to fill. And there's 2 options, and I think the main one, obviously, it has to be Adam Wharton. I think Adam Wharton is the perfect player to play alongside Declan Rice. He has great ability on the ball. He's a great passer. I think he could be the Michael Carrick that England never really got to see, because it was always about Lampard and Scholes and Gerrard in the England midfield back in the day when Michael Carrick was really thriving. But Michael Carrick is the perfect player, the perfect archetype of midfielder that I think England need. Gets around the pitch well, can defend, but also is super comfortable on the ball. Great passer, super comfortable taking the ball with his back to play. Can turn on it, can pass progressively. Has good strengths, like he can intercept, he can tackle, like he is a quality midfielder. He can play that deeper lying role. And I think that if he can stay healthy, he is the perfect fit alongside Declan Rice. I think maybe people will maybe say he's not the most athletic, and that's something that you need in modern football, but I think he's more than capable. We've seen him thrive in the midfield for Crystal Palace. We've seen him play almost near man-marking roles in certain games under Oliver Glasner. And I like to think that Glasner and Tuchel are almost cut from the same cloth in their style of management. So I think if Wharton can stay healthy, obviously he picked up a knock and missed this current run of international games. But I really think health is the only thing that should be holding him back. Wharton, I think, is the perfect player to play alongside Declan Rice. And I think if he is healthy, yeah, he's still young, only 21 years old, but he'll be 22 by the time the World Cup rolls around. He'll have another full season of Premier League football under his belt. And as the old saying goes, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So I don't think that should be a worry about. Maybe it's a little bit of inexperience or things like that. I think hopefully we'll get to see him in the October and November internationals. And I think England fans will really start to see then that he is the right fit alongside Declan Rice. And that gives them a really strong base and a really high quality midfield. Of course, the player that was maybe the standout of the current international cycle was Elliot Anderson. He's a guy who has really, really thrived at Nottingham Forest. I mean, last year when I saw them make that move, I was like, wow, this is a great deal for Newcastle. This is a guy who couldn't get into the Newcastle team, who we'd never really seen a whole lot of. I honestly thought he was a bit more of a winger or attacking player, but he's come into this Forest team and really been amazing. More so as the number 8, he also I feel like he kind of plays a similar sort of role to what Declan Rice does in the Arsenal team. But he is a capable defender. Any of you fantasy players out there can see that he's getting very close with his defensive contributions every week. He's getting very close with defensive contributions every week. Usually has 10, which includes interceptions and tackles and clearances, and he has a lot of quality on the ball as well. I think Newcastle maybe have underrated him. Obviously, that midfield role was tough to break into in Newcastle as they have an elite trio in the midfield. But watching Elliot Anderson develop at Forest, watching him play in that midfield for England, he looked great. And of course, this is, again, they're playing against Andorra. Like, that was where he really kind of thrived. But let's remember, it's Andorra. This is England. They don't really get tested in their World Cup qualifiers because they have such a high ranking. They're usually playing a lot of the minnows of international football. But Elliot Anderson has the quality to thrive and to be a starter for England. I think that ability is there, and the best thing about him is he always seems to be healthy. And he only missed, I think, one league game last year. Obviously, he had a strong start again this season. I think he could be a fit, but I think he should be the backup option. I think Adam Wharton is the perfect fit for this England midfield. It's a position that, yeah, maybe you'd love to say, oh yeah, can we just go and take a Caicedo or someone of that nature who's just a legitimate number 6 that will protect that back line, fiercely athletic, breaks up play, and just all around just the perfect ideal defensive midfielder. Maybe England don't have that. But Declan Rice is an elite box-to-box midfielder and also an elite number 6. He can play both roles. It seems Tuchel wants to get the most out of Declan Rice by playing him that box-to-box role. And I think then you play Adam Wharton alongside him. He'll be closer to the back line, whether they're in possession or out of possession. He's capable of taking the ball from there and getting attack started. He's a great passer. He's not just a guy that's going to take it and lay it off. He's a guy that can play progressive passes, he can play long balls, he can start attacks, he can be a creative force from that deeper line position. And I think that's exactly what England are looking for. And I think that Wharton, you're the guy for England. There is no midfield problem. If Adam Wharton is healthy, we're going to get to see him hopefully in both the October internationals and the November internationals once he stays fit. And we're going to see that he is a perfect fit alongside Declan Rice, and that's going to be the midfield for the World Cup next year. And I think it's also key that I think Cole Palmer is a guy that shouldn't be in the starting lineup for England. I think a lot of people were questioning at the Euros why Gareth Southgate wasn't starting Palmer after his amazing Premier League breakout year with Chelsea. But since then, his form has kind of, I wouldn't say collapsed. He has still shown flashes. He still shows his quality on the ball. Maybe a bit more naturally creative and suave on the ball compared to Jude Bellingham. But Bellingham is more athletic. I think he has an equal eye for goal, and I think he's great at getting into the box and supporting attacks. He's also got a lot of quality, and I think he's just a better fit for that role. I think Palmer is an ideal candidate to be maybe coming off the bench and being that super sub, and maybe his form might dictate that he finds a starting role in this team. But I think if you're looking at this is the number 10 spot, I think Bellingham is the better fit for this England team. I think he's got a more natural eye for goal, and I think he's just more consistent as a performer than Cole Palmer. And I think you need depth in your squad as well, and having being able to bring a guy like Cole Palmer off the bench for your squad. Like, we've seen a lot of great players down the years not be starters for England but still have an impact, and I think that can be Cole Palmer, like we saw in the Euros final. I don't think he's a natural. I don't think he should be a certainty to start. I think he's got an opportunity to earn that starting role. But I think Bellingham is the better fit there. And if you're midfield, if we're looking at, obviously it's going to be a 4-2-3-1 formation, as I said, and you can look at that as it's a 5-man midfield. I still look at it as a 3-man midfield, and I think you're looking at Adam Wharton, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, and I think that is a midfield 3 that is more than capable of winning the World Cup for England. This is their time, and as long as their fans get behind this manager, the stupidest thing England fans could do is doubt this manager, not get behind this team, want this manager to fail. One, because he's not English. One, because he's the next guy coming after the so-called great Gareth Southgate. But in reality, Thomas Tuchel is a much more adept coach than Gareth Southgate. I will be shocked if we see England succumb to an early exit at the World Cup or succumb to a team that are less talented than them. I really think there's only a couple of teams that should be beating England when we look at the World Cup next year. Maybe you're looking at Argentina, Spain, maybe France. Outside of that, I don't think there's a team in world football that England should really be fearing in any way, or it wouldn't be considered a failure if they were to lose to that team next year in the World Cup. Tuchel tries to claim he has a midfield problem. Fans maybe have questions about the England midfield, but I think the answer is there, and the answer is Adam Wharton beside Declan Rice with Jude Bellingham in front. That is a midfield that can win the World Cup for England. And remember, I'm a guy who's kind of always somewhat enjoyed England and their failures at major tournaments. I was very against them succeeding under Gareth Southgate because I just don't believe Gareth Southgate was that good of a manager. I think I was proven right. I know people will say he's still done amazing things by getting to the 2 Euros finals, getting to a World Cup semi-final. But the semi-final in the World Cup was really the only one that was an overachievement. The others they were one of the better teams. They struggled through every game. And then the second that they were really challenged, they lost. That was the same case in the World Cup semi-final against Croatia. They scored the opening goal, but then they weren't able to capitalise on that, and they ultimately got beaten. Same thing in Euro 2020. And then again last year, I mean, they could have gone out against far weaker teams, but they managed to keep on scraping through, and then eventually they met a match in Spain. I don't think Thomas Tuchel will let that happen to this England team, and I think this is a team that can go and win it all in 2026. But hey, that's just my opinion. Remember, you like what you're hearing, make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment. Who do you think is the best midfielder to partner Declan Rice for England moving forward? Is it Adam Wharton? Is it Elliot Anderson? Maybe it's someone else. Let me know in the comments.